This is how codependency can show up in different relational dynamics, be it a partner, an ex, a family member, or a friend. With family members, it might be you know that going to that family event, you're going to be disrespected, there's going to be conflict, you're going to come home feeling worse for the experience, but you show up every single time. You know that if you try and enforce a boundary, you might be seen or labelled as selfish, unkind, the difficult child. You may have tried to enforce boundaries previously and been met with some decent protest behaviours from your family members. And so as a result, you've ended up softening your boundaries just to keep the peace. So some of the codependent patterns that are presenting here is suppressing your own emotional needs to maintain the illusion of family unity. Part of it is also seeking validation by being the good child or the peacemaker. And another thing is you begin to equate self-abandonment with family loyalty. Now, in a romantic relationship, codependent behaviours might look like you're with a partner who is emotionally unavailable or who is consistently causing you emotional harm. This isn't just for our avoidant attachers. Anyone with an insecure attachment style, be it anxious or avoidant attacher, can be guilty of this. But irrespective of this, you are with someone who is causing you emotional harm, but you stay because you may have that understanding that, oh, they've had a hard past, I've been them before, I understand their experience, they need me. Essentially, you're taking responsibility for their mood, their behavior, and almost taking responsibility for their healing journey. And for some people, you might be feeling like if you stop over giving to this person, or if you leave, they're going to fall apart. And that guilt drives you to stay. And some of the codependent patterns that are presenting here is confusing that rescuing with love, sacrificing your peace to manage their chaos, and feeling that obligation to fix them instead of holding them accountable. Remember, they're grown-ass adults. Where codependency can show up when an ex pops back on the scene, let's say it's an ex that may have abruptly broken up with you, treated you poorly during the relationship, whatever it is. You haven't heard from them for weeks or months or even years, and they call you. They're spiraling, they're sad, they're lonely, they're regretful about something. They have not apologized, they have not demonstrated any accountability, and they are still seeking you to help with their emotional regulation. So even though they hurt you, they haven't apologized, they haven't acknowledged any of their behaviors, and they haven't demonstrated any change, you still respond, you still check on them. And irrespective of if you actually want to get back together with them or not, you're often doing this because you feel guilty for ignoring their pain. So what's happening here is your drive for emotional caretaking is overriding your sense and your need for self-protection. And some people use their ex feeling like they need support as a way to stay connected. And some people prefer to have that feeling of being needed as opposed to that feeling of being rejected or discarded. So they would rather stay in a relational dynamic or reconnect with someone in order to avoid that feeling of rejection or disconnection. But remember, if your ex is reaching out to you in that state and they haven't demonstrated any accountability, there's been no apology, they are not reaching out to reconnect, they are reaching out to outsource their emotional regulation. And lastly, codependency can show up in friendships. This is where you'll often feel like it's a one-sided friendship. So you might have a friend who is constantly dumping their problems on you, but barely asks how you are going. You might always make time for them, but then if you reach out to them, you want to catch up, you need something, they're always too busy. So some of the codependent behaviors here is that unbalanced emotional labor. Maybe that feeling of being too much if you ask for reciprocity. And sometimes it's just staying in these codependent dynamics out of guilt, not out of there being a genuine connection. This is where having some self-compassion and working on your boundaries is so incredibly important, because in all of these, you are going to lose yourself, you're going to burn yourself out. Saying no and choosing yourself is the key to building a healthy emotional relationship with yourself, but also with those around you.